Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Carnage Reviews. My name is Eric. In today's video, we're going back to Haddonfield, this time checking out the original Halloween series. By original series, I mean Halloween 1 through 2, and then 4 through 6. Now, you may be questioning my logic here, because as you all know, there are several Halloween films in the series, but let me break it down and explain. I love Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, but it's not part of the Michael Myers timeline, and, well, I already did a video on it, which you can check out in the link above. I also don't count H2O or Resurrection because those two films only acknowledge the first two films in the series. So, for me, for better or worse, the original series, ends at the Curse of Michael Myers. Before the boogeyman gets you, just a quick reminder to please consider subscribing to the channel. Just click that subscribe button, along with the bell icon, to keep up to date with my latest content. It's free and it's easy. Halloween tells the tale of Laurie Strode and her friends being stalked on Halloween night by escaped mental patient Michael Myers, who killed his sister as a young boy. His doctor, Dr. Sam Loomis, is on the hunt for him, and he believes he's pure evil. What more can be said about this film that hasn't already been said? It's a classic for a reason. The music, the cinematography, that opening sequence. John Carpenter wanted to create an environment where the boogeyman could be anywhere, and with this film, he achieves that goal. The opening POV sequence is on the same level as the shower scene in Psycho. Music plays a big part here. It creates suspense. I really like the little moments in this movie. For example, after Dr. Loomis talks to Sheriff Brackett, Dr. Loomis is standing there and Michael Myers literally is behind him. He drives past him in that car. Or when Tommy Doyle looks out the window and he sees that silhouette of Michael Myers standing outside. My favorite death scene is, of course, when Linda's boyfriend literally gets stabbed to the wall by Michael Myers, and he's just hanging there, and Michael Myers is looking at him like he's a kid in a candy store. That scene is just so perfect. The lighting, the way it's shot, everything just looks great. And, of course, the classic head tilt here. This is the first time we get to see that classic head tilt that'll become a staple of the series. You know, I never really thought about how well Annie's death is done, too. From the fogged windows to the positioning of the shot of Michael Myers in the back strangling her as she's sitting in the front, and also those sounds he's making, too, as he's strangling her. Damn, it's creepy. Halloween 2 picks up where the original film left off. After being shot 6 times, Michael escapes and stalks his way through Haddonfield. Injured, Laurie is taken to the Haddonfield hospital. Michael finds out that she's in the hospital by hearing it on the radio from some random dude who's walking down the street holding a radio, and he makes his way to the hospital as well to find her. Dr. Loomis is again on the hunt for Michael and is wanting to stop him at all costs. Dude, as a kid, I was obsessed with Halloween 2. I know I've told the story before where I had a VHS copy of the movie, and I watched it so many times that I wore the tape out. That story is 100% true. I know Carpenter never really liked the whole sister angle thing, and watching it now as an adult, I do have to admit that the whole thing is kind of out of left field. But despite that, this film still has a lot to offer. It's strongly shot and edited. The film looks great. That 4K release that Scream Factory put out, it just makes the film look amazing. The colors just pop, especially like the police sirens and whatnot. And that scene when Ben Tramer, who's dressed as Michael, gets killed, when he gets run over by that cop car and the car explodes, the colors just pop in that scene. You know, that took me the longest damn time to realize that that was even Ben Tramer. Ben Tramer is the crush of Laurie that's mentioned in the first film, and there's actually a cool little connection, because in the first film, when Annie's talking to Laurie, she tells her that she's told Ben that she has a crush on her, and Laurie's all upset about it and wants her to talk to him, and she says that she can't because he's out drinking with friends. And this is on the same night as Halloween 2, because Halloween 1 and Halloween 2 both take place on the same night. So later on, we see Dr. Loomis and the other cop, the other sheriff or whatever, and these kids come up to the sheriff and they say, "Oh, our friend Ben is missing. He was really drunk and he was wearing a stupid Halloween costume." So that's funny that that little connection happened there, because Annie mentioned that he was out drinking, and then later on in the night in Halloween 2, we see him and he gets killed. So just a cool little connection I thought that I never realized before. The continuation between Halloween 1 and 2 is really rather seamless. I wonder if anyone's ever taken the time to edit these two films together to make it one movie. The scene where the camera's following Michael around, where it's that kind of over the shoulder view of Michael walking, are really well done. Especially that scene where Michael steals the knife. I wonder if Harold ever decided on mustard or mayonnaise with a little bit of blood on his sandwich.
Harold, you want mayonnaise on your sandwich? How about mustard?
My favorite kill in this movie has to be when the nurse is in the doctor's office. She's trying to get his attention, not realizing that he's dead. And the way that Michael just emerges from the darkness is so cool. A close second would be the hot tub scene, which looked a lot more brutal to me when I was a kid. The first kill in Halloween 2, I always found a little confusing. So at the beginning of the film, after Michael steals the knife, he wanders into this girl's house as she's on the phone. She hears a noise and she goes to investigate, and Michael just kind of pops up and stabs her. And I'm wondering, where is he coming from exactly? Is he crouching? What the fuck's going on here? As a kid, sometimes I would pop this movie in just to watch the opening credits. I loved this version of the theme song in this movie, and I loved the jack-o'-lantern in this movie too, the way it bursts open, revealing the skull. I like the way Michael moves in Halloween 2 as well, and I feel the way he moves here, slow and menacing, would be replicated in all future films. There's also some very good head tilting going on.
Michael?
Halloween, the original, of course, has the best version of the mask, and in my opinion, Halloween 2 has the second best version. Call me crazy, but it almost looks angrier in this version, like Michael's rage is seeping through and showing in the mask. Unlike Halloween 1 and 2, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, doesn't have the iconic jack-o'-lantern opening credit sequence, but next to Halloween 2, this is probably my favorite opening sequence. It's very tense, and the build-up is very good. In Halloween 4, we now focus on Jamie, who is the daughter of Laurie. Jamie is adopted by a family after her parents are killed. I don't remember if they mention how her parents are killed, but I know they're just dead. And, of course, Michael finds out that he has one more relative left alive, so he goes on a rampage, escapes, and comes after her. What I've always liked about Halloween 4 is that people actually listen to Dr. Loomis this time. And Dr. Loomis is again played by Donald Pleasance, which is great because Donald Pleasance is Dr. Loomis, and Dr. Loomis is Donald Pleasance. There can only be one. I don't think his dialogue is as good as it was in Halloween 1 and 2, but Pleasance makes it work. One of my favorite Dr. Loomis scenes in Halloween 4 is when he gets picked up by this random preacher who is an alcoholic and looks a little crazy. He's chasing evil or some shit like that. And it's just really random. It doesn't really fit with the rest of the movie, in my opinion. But I almost wonder, is it like foreshadowing to Dr. Loomis what he will become if he continues on this path of being obsessed with Michael and chasing him? I don't know. Despite the ridiculousness of Dr. Loomis and Michael being able to survive an explosion, Halloween 4 is actually a really good sequel to the first two films. It's way better than you think it would be. And the kills in Halloween 4 are just okay. I feel like, at least in my opinion, if you want to see good kills, you watch Friday the 13th. And you watch Halloween to see Michael. I always thought that the mask in Halloween 4 was absolutely terrible. And after revisiting the movie, it's really not that bad. I mean, it's not as good as the mask in the first two films, and it looks a little goofy somewhat, but I feel like the masks in the films that preceded this one were way worse. The day after Michael escapes, at least I think it's the day after, I'm pretty sure it is, there's a scene in the movie where Dr. Loomis is at this diner slash car shop or whatever, and he sees Michael standing there, and Michael's looking at him, and he's in his classic, jumpsuit, and he has bandages just wrapped all around his head from, I guess, when he was burned. And it looks surprisingly eerie. I almost wish they kept this look for a little bit longer, maybe even not have tried to duplicate the mask if they felt they couldn't duplicate it from the original, and just kept this look because I think it looks pretty good, actually. Spoiler alert here. So, towards the end of the movie, Michael is killed in a very 80s way, and they go back to the house, and Jamie is wearing the same Halloween costume that Michael wore when he killed his sister, and she attacks and kills her foster mother, or whatever you want to call her. And the film ends with her covered in blood, holding the knife. And so the knife is passed on. See what I did there? Rather than saying torch, I said knife. So the knife is passed on to Jamie being the next killer in the series. That, of course, all gets thrown out the window with Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Michael survives a gun blazing attack by being nursed back to health by a hermit for a year. How does a hermit treat multiple gunshot wounds? Fuck if I know. And of course, we don't find out because as soon as Michael's feeling stabby again, he quickly kills the hermit and leaves. Jamie has some kind of telepathic link with Michael now and can see what he's doing and where he is. Rachel, Jamie's foster sister, is in the film for a brief time before, spoiler, she is killed by Michael in a very drawn out sequence. And then after that, we're stuck with Tina, Rachel's friend. More on her later. Oh, yeah, and there's a mysterious man in black who arrives in Haddonfield and kind of just wanders around for a while and does nothing until the end. More on that later, too. It stinks to say this, especially after Halloween 4 was just way better than it really had any right to be, but Halloween 5 just sucks. I mean, I remember renting this as a kid and liking it, and as an adult, if it was on AMC during Halloween, I would have it on in the background. But to actually sit down and watch this, it's so awful. And the Scream Factory 4K does make the film look good, but it's just so bad. It's still just bad. The biggest annoyance I have with this film is Tina. She is the most insufferable, annoying, idiotic character ever to exist. Why would the film decide to focus on this character? I have no idea why. She's selfish, she's bratty, nails on a chalkboard, fucking annoying. I wanted to see Michael kill her so fucking badly.
I'm never sensible if I can help it!
Gina!
Sadly, all we get is her being stabbed in the shoulder. At least her equally annoying friends get killed. Look, I get it. In slasher movies, you gotta have some meat for the grinder, as to say. But couldn't they have made these characters just a little bit more likable and less one-dimensional? I mean, they're just fucking god-awful, stupid, annoying. Ugh. I would say that Tina really isn't even the main character, final girl here in the movie, that Jamie is. If that's the case, why not just focus on Jamie instead of this fucking half-wit? At least we have Donald Pleasance back, who isn't as entertaining as he was in the other films, but at least he tries. Halloween 5 introduces the Curse of Thorn into the series, which is later explored in Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. From what I understand, the writers and the director of Halloween 5 had no clue what they were doing with the Curse of Thorn or the Man in Black. They simply just threw that stuff in there to leave it open for a possible sequel. And boy, does it show. Also, since when was the Myers house a fucking Victorian mansion? I mean, what am I missing here? If you want an example on why some franchises should just end, Halloween 5 is a good example of that. When you have no real direction or any idea what you're doing, then you end up with a mess like this. I really think that they should have just had Jamie be the killer, like it was implied in Halloween 4, or simply just ended the series at 4. I'll still watch this movie for nostalgia and, on Halloween and whatnot, but this movie is an absolute chore to get through. The original series and the Curse of Thorn story arc end with Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. This film takes place several years after Halloween 5, and Jamie and Michael have been kidnapped by the Man in Black in this cult. And Jamie, now an adult, at least I think she's an adult, maybe she's supposed to be 15, I'm not sure, but she gives birth to a baby, and then she manages to escape the Man in Black and Michael, and they come after her and the baby. Donald Pleasance returns as Dr. Loomis, and this would be his last film role before he passed. We are also introduced to a now adult Tommy Doyle, who believes that Michael is still out there, and A new family has moved into the Myers house, and their last name just happens to be Strode. Just so you guys know, the version of the movie I'm talking about is the producer's cut, which is by no means a masterpiece at all, but it at least makes sense, and it actually has Halloween movie sounding music in it, to make it actually feel like a Halloween movie, as opposed to some really generic rock crap music or whatever that was in the theatrical version. The film has a really good look. The color and lighting are very good. The 4K looks really great. The mask is so-so. It looks like it did in Halloween 4 and 5, I'd say. Maybe slightly worse, but pretty much how it did in those movies. The idea of Michael being controlled by a cult is utterly stupid and ridiculous, but the filmmakers at least tried to explain what was happening in Halloween 5. They didn't really have much to go on, as they weren't really given anything because it was all just thrown in there as a way of making room for a sequel. So they did what they could. And I will say that Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, at least the producer's cut, is way better than the shit show that was Halloween 5. And that's not really saying much, but it was better. One thing that's really annoying and almost kind of comical in this movie is that there's this really annoying shock jock radio host guy in the film, and he's shown later on in the movie, but you hear his radio show at the start of the movie. And there's a scene where after Jamie escapes, she goes to a bus station and she's trying to use the payphone, and she can't call 911 because, I don't know, all the circuits are busy, of course, because there's bad weather. And so she decides to call into this radio show and tries to plead her case to the radio host and hopes that someone's listening that can help her. I understand why she called, because 911, originally I was thinking, well, why the fuck wouldn't she call 911? But then I realized, oh yeah, all the circuits were busy, so she couldn't. Why wouldn't she just get the fuck out of there? Why waste your time calling a fucking shock jock radio host guy to say you're in danger? I mean, that's, I don't know, maybe just run? The ending for Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, leaves a lot to be desired. It leaves us with more questions than answers. Questions we sadly never get the answers to, as the next entry in the series would be a soft reboot. So, as a whole, how are these films together? I will say that Halloween 1, 2, and 4 are really strong together. Despite the ridiculousness of Myers being able to survive being burned alive, essentially. But you know what? I guess it makes sense, because if he could be shot 6 times and live, why wouldn't he be able to survive being engulfed in flames? Personally, I think they should have ended the series either at 2 or 4. The second one definitely has the more finite, satisfying ending, but at the same time, there's really nothing wrong with ending a series on a cliffhanger either. But clearly, the ending of 4 was done with the intention of there being a sequel. Halloween 5 is an annoying film to sit through, mostly because Tina and her dumbass friends. The whole telepathic link Jimmy shares with Michael is kind of lame, and the Curse of Thorn and Man in Black are clearly just desperate attempts to try to make the film interesting and leave things open for a sequel. Halloween 6 does an okay job trying to explain what's going on. It does its best. It tries to explain what this mysterious tattoo that Michael Myers suddenly has that we never saw before is, and try to fit it all together. And it does reveal who the Man in Black was, but honestly, it's nothing to write home about. Michael Myers is a force. The reasons for him killing are really not that important. Sometimes the unknown is way more disturbing and scary than the known. When you reveal too much of what's going on, it takes away some of the mystery, some of the mystique, and that was the biggest mistake that Halloween 5 and 6 made. You don't really need to know why Michael does what he does. He doesn't have to have a reason. Maybe he just likes doing it. That's all we really need to know, is that he kills and he's out there. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please tap that like button. What do you guys think of these particular films in the series? Do you like them? Yes or no? Why or why not? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, my friends, bye-bye.